To order the meeting noticed for today. Would everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Do we have an anthem?
That's not going to be annoying at all. Could we please have the roll call?
Alternate Wall is not here. Alternate Wu is also not here. Trustee Chen, not here. Trustee Derry. Trustee Osaguela.
Here.
Vice Chair Sadoun and Chair Domeyer.
Here. Thank you. The agenda is posted 72 hours prior to each meeting at the following locations: City Hall, the Crow Public Library, and the Stoneman Building. The agenda is also posted on the city's website. The city welcomes public input. At this time, the public may address the Library Board of Trustees on items that are not on the agenda. Pursuant to state law, the Library Board of Trustees may not discuss or take action on any issue not on the meeting agenda. To ensure that everyone, including those joining us remotely, are able to hear all speakers clearly, please speak directly into a microphone. I would now like to ask Management Analyst Shikanaga to explain how public comment will work.
Thank you. For each item on the agenda, there will be time for public comment, and we will accept comments in 3 ways. We will take in-person comments for each item. Please fill out a speaker card and turn it into me if you wish to speak on an item. We will then ask for comments from our Zoom participants. When we ask for public comments via Zoom, there are 2 ways you can let us know you would like to speak. First, you can use the raise hand feature, which is a button that's found by clicking on raise hand on the bottom right side of the screen. Please do not use this feature until we've asked for public comment, or else we may not see it or know which item you are asking to speak on. As a second option, you can send a message using the chat box saying you would like to speak on a particular agenda item. Comments will be accepted only until the end of the public comment period for that item. Please keep in mind that if there are technical difficulties with Zoom, the meeting will proceed as normal. The city will do its best to resolve any technical issues as quickly as possible. I will then read into the record any public comments received by email for that particular item. Due to technical limitations associated with gathering, printing, and sorting emailed public comment, the city has instituted a 7 a.m. cutoff the day of a Library Board of Trustees meeting for emailed public comments. This is to ensure there's sufficient time to gather and present the emailed comments at the meeting. Any comments received after 7 a.m. the day of a meeting will be included in the public comment record, but will not be read at the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? If so, please state your name and address for the record. As the room appears to be empty, I'm going to assume that's a no. Do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically? Anyone on Zoom or anything?
No public comment.
Okay, great. All right. We'll move on then to our first agenda item. The first item on the agenda is my chairperson's report. First of all, I'd like to thank Trustee Osaguela for filling in during my absence during the last meeting at the last minute. This is our last board meeting of the year. Believe it or not, we do not meet in December. So I thought it'd be a good time to remind everybody of the duties of being a good board member. Part of it is to notify the city staff in advance if you're planning on being absent, and to thoroughly prepare for every meeting by reading the packet that the staff labors so assiduously to prepare for us. A reminder that trustee reports are for matters not contained in the liaison reports, and we're also required to attend meetings of our affiliated groups and to be prepared to summarize in our liaison reports. I also encourage everybody to talk to others in the community, to promote our library, and also to get their feedback. That's a really important role we have, is to find out what the community members are thinking about the library, and we can sort of stave off any misconceptions along the way while we're doing that. I also encourage everybody to visit the library in person, and when possible, attend the programs that are offered. And then, of course, attend the library open house next month, or not next month, in January, and to serve as ambassadors for our library. So serving on this board is an honor and a privilege, and I'm grateful for the time and effort you all put in for this service, and encourage everyone to take those duties seriously, especially the reading of the packet. That's all I have for my chairperson's report. The second item On the agenda is trustee reports. Vice Chair Sadoun, do you have anything to report?
The Kroll Public Library was very important, as you know, to Sandy Morris. And I think that she had a very moving celebration of life just a week and a half ago that was so well attended by library, both at Carver and here at the Kroll Public Library. She made such an impact on so many lives. And the core of it was that she felt how important libraries reading were to the community. And it came across there, and everyone who knew her well would say very much the same. And so I'm glad that this was able to be done right here next to the library. She was a champion for us, and I'll be forever grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Asagueda, anything to report separately? Okay, great. Trustee Derry, anything you have to report separate from your liaison report?
The last two meetings of the Friends were canceled, so I don't have a report.
You don't have a liaison report either. Okay. And Trustee Chen, do you have a report separate from your liaison report? Anything?
No.
Okay, thank you. Walter Wu, great. The third item on the agenda is the Crane Art Gallery Liaison Report. Can we please have a report from Vice Chairperson Sadoun?
Thank you. Of course, the lovely oil paintings by Emily Sunez are up, and she had her reception the same day as the celebration of life. It was in the afternoon, very well attended, according to Linda Lyons. About 45 people were here. And she sold several paintings, and she's already contacted Linda to send in her donation check. So that was a successful exhibit for all. Next up will be the what is called the Chinese flower arranging exhibit. And I recall this once before because Rosa Z is involved with that. And that will begin on December 28th and run through the 16th. But on February 3rd, I would like to encourage anyone and everyone to come by, because in the Barth, they're going to be doing the walls of the Crane Gallery will be with Billy Youngblood's enlarged flower work photography. But in here, Rosa will be with her students doing flower arrangements. And the doors will be open. But the scent is so wonderful that just for that, if you just want to get an uplifting blossom smell, come by for that.
What day was that?
That will be on February 3rd, Saturday, February 3rd, and they'll start doing the flower arranging at 10 a.m. and then all afternoon it will be open to people who wish to come by.
February 31st.
No, on February 3rd.
February 3rd.
And then 10 a.m. we'll start the flower arrangement. Then following that will be Cindy Chan, as you know, has requested the Crane Gallery to complement and coincide with Delicious Destinations, which of course takes place on March 16th. So from February 24th to March 29th, we've reserved that for her. I don't quite know about that, what it will be exactly, but she's done it each year. It's always been not only attractive, but you find people in front of it fascinated by it. You know, she has an eye for that, and I'm sure it'll be equally beautiful this year. We're in talks with several other potential exhibitors, but nothing has been sealed or signed yet. So I'll keep you up to date maybe at the next meeting.
Thank you very much. The fourth item on the agenda is the Friends of the Public Library report. And Trustee Derry, you said they did not meet or you did not attend meetings, so we have nothing for that. Okay, great. We'll move on to agenda item number 5, the San Marino Public Library Foundation Liaison Report. Can we please have a report from Trustee Shen?
Good morning, and I'm sorry I was late. So I attended the meeting, and bookmark contest has started from November 13th to December 15th, 23. And they're getting a potential new sponsor. Usually there's only two. So this year they might. They're
Your
working,
microphone, turn your mic on. There you go.
they're working on that. And the theme is something wild in San Marino. So we'll have to see what creative kids will come up with. And save the date. Deborah has said March 16, 24 is gonna be the delicious destination as planned. And Cindy Chen has talked to someone pretty famous, American author Michael Connelly. Yes, she's hoping to have, well, she's very humble. She says she's hoping to have him as a speaker in San Marino. Normally what it costs about $10,000 per event. And he has agreed. So for free, that is. That's what's in the pipeline. And I also heard Friends and Foundation and trustees are going to have a meeting. And open house for the library is planned on January 27th next year. So that's everything I have for this report.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to new business. The sixth item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Are there any questions from the board regarding the? No? No, any questions from the board? No. All right. I'd like to open up the item for public comments. Anyone here wish to speak at this time? If so, please state your name and address for the record. No one else has come in, so we'll skip over that. Do we have any public comment requests submitted electronically for our minutes? No. All right. This time I'll bring the item back to the board for discussion. Any comments or questions from the board regarding the minutes from last meeting, which I was not at, Deborah was not at, Lois was not at, but Kathy was there and Genevieve was there. Yeah. Any comments, questions? No? All right. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on October 23rd, 2023.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Chen,
Yes.
trustee Derry,
Yes.
trustee Osaguela,
Yes.
vice chair Sadoon,
Yes.
and chair Domeyer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. The seventh item on the agenda is the Director and Library Manager report. Could we please have a presentation from Community Services Director Johnson and Library Manager Vera?
Good morning, trustees. And the report begins on page 8 of your packet. And the first item that we usually start with is personnel updates. We are disappointed to share that we are reposting the bilingual part-time library assistant position. We thought we had a good fit, and unfortunately, we will be reposting that along with the part-time library assistant and youth services. So we have vacancies there. And then we are also currently recruiting 3 part-time library clerks. As you know, when we manage a workforce that is in a part-time status, this is, often the case, but we persevere. The next item wanted to share, this is new, something that we have not, shared with you for your planning. Planning of your calendars for next year is the 2024 calendar of community events. It is attachment 1 and begins on page 15 of your packet. So this is a planning tool that we use internally. This is not necessarily anything we post. This supports the planning and coordination and collaboration amongst all of the interdepartments within the city. So we all, are obviously not planning various other programs throughout the city that conflict with all major community-based events. Then this information then gets populated on the citywide publicly facing website for calendar of events. think of this as a kind of a refrigerator magnet type calendar. So please, plot all your personal, these dates on your personal calendars. We'd love for you to join us for everything. And then obviously on page 15, on this attachment 1, you'll see lead agency on the right column, the right-hand column. So as you've read in the packet, January 27th, Saturday is our first big community event, and the library is the lead agency, with community services obviously being the department. There's some details there. We have Lunar New Year that we support, and we actually co-sponsor this with the Chinese Club. It's at the park. Delicious Destinations has been mentioned a couple of times this morning. If you make your way down, there's other community services department events. As you know, the other half of the department is our rec division, who leads the charge on the majority of all of our community-based events. But we would love to see all of you there with your badges on, participating, talking with, the residents and things like that. So back to the report, top of page 9, the annual open house. This is just a mention within the report about the details around the event, as well as we're calling for volunteers. If anybody would like to be involved, please reach out and let Linda know. Middle of your page there, next item, which is also attachment 2 of your packet, looks like this. Quarterly, we report to you a budget summary reports. So this is your first quarter budget summary, and it runs through, as you know, most of you know, our fiscal year runs July through June, and this particular report is for quarter 1. I don't know yet, you all have a printed copy. I will keep it very high level. This is, not a lot to really dive into. I think the short report is that we're on pace. Middle of your page, you'll see the headings at the top where it says Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and essentially we'd like to stay within the percentage of elapsed budget, right? So quarter 1, the target is 25%. As you move to the right of this chart, the green kind of at the top, our general fund lines 1 through 6 is our revenue. Okay. And we're basically at 21%. So a little bit under, tracking a little bit under our revenue targets for the year. But our big revenue, as you know, is our passport services. And we're pacing at a little under 22%. So, but that's okay. A lot has to do with, when revenues get posted, when we pull this, we might be like, what? People aren't traveling, but we know they're still traveling. Oh, my word. Did it go off? Oh, there we go. Oh, I'm sorry. Has it been off the whole time? Just, I didn't touch it. There's no ghosts in the room. That's right. They're like, stop talking. No. Then as we move on into the blue section, lines 7 through 23, those are our expenses. So in the middle of your page, there's a subtotal for personnel. You can see that the variance there, our percentage of use is 28%. So we're running a little high, but there's some explanations for that. It's some benefits payments and our CalPERS payments and things like that out of our finance department. It's not because we're actually, utilizing all of our personnel budget, because we know we're not, right? Because we have vacancies in our part-time, but there's those benefits payments and things like that hit the budget maybe early. And then we go down to the end of the bottom line, which I think is what, is really most important, is we're right about 26%. So we're on pace for, and this is our operating budget. The second page, if you turn it over, is our donations monitor. You've seen this over the years. And again, the top is our revenues. Moving to the blue is our expenses. And then the second half of the page is we're going to hold on until we get the tech under control. Okay, good. Nobody wants to hear me twice. Anyway, so our donations fund, our restricted donations fund, is currently at 12% received or realized. And we're not concerned as you look at the detail on these line items. The big one is that line item number 1 is we have yet to receive our first disbursement from the library donations, which is essentially the Friends allocation. Although we have received targeted funds from them for adult materials as well as youth materials. Correct? Okay. And thank you, Linda. Yeah. And they have agreed to disperse quarterly for that larger earmarked, the large lump sum donation. So we have yet to receive Q1. Or it's in the pipeline somewhere, I'm sure. And then our expenses, we are tracking under for expenses, which is purchasing of materials. That has to do with capacity and staffing capacity and the librarian's ability to but Linda has a spending plan. She's talked to the team.
The reason why it's like this in Q1 is because we had such a backlog from the previous year when we were severely understaffed that we had to work through the processing of everything that was in the workroom before we could responsibly bring in more items that then needed to be processed. So it was a very conservative metered ordering quarter because of the backlog that we had. And now we're good, spending away.
Final comment on this report is you'll note on the right side of this report, there's a small box in the upper right-hand corner, which is our donations reserve fund balance. And that sits right now at $77,756. So now that, the staff team, myself, Kristen, and Linda, we have a very firm grasp. After 2 years being together, Linda, a year and a half, we have a pretty firm grasp now on our operating budget. We've cleaned up this report quite nicely. We feel as we kick off for fiscal year 24-25 budget planning, okay, that our finance director and our new city manager will be guiding staff through that process in the upcoming months. We're already right on the thresholds of December. Budget planning will begin in January and February. And then we'll be full on, budget presentations in March. But this, pool of money over here, we're going to be finding out how we can actually, what is by policy the threshold we need to keep, number one, and if there are funds in there that we can use, we need to put them to work here. But how we can use those funds, we need to understand that. So just know that we have that on our list as we manage through the budget going forward for our planning for next year. Do you guys have any questions about this particular report?
Any questions on the board?
I have just one or two. I wondered if anything further had gone.
You can pull the mic down.
Yeah.
Or just pull your mic down.
No.
Right here.
Close.
This. Yeah, there you go.
Turn it back on.
Oh, there you go.
I know the foundation had raised funds for a renovation. And I wondered if that's proceeded, or what the planning is for that.
Yep, thank you. The question here has to do with a capital improvement
Mhm.
program or request that was made several years ago as for a renovation
Mhm.
to the lifelong learning for a space. And due to, other projects within the city, due to staffing turnovers at the department head level, COVID, I think, disrupted that request. So it is still on the books as a capital project request. We as staff within CSD and the library have to partner with the public works and the city engineer and the public works director to get any of these projects done. We cannot go off on our own and hire a general contractor, architect, those kinds of things. That's the way to get projects done. So our public works director, Amber Shaw, is aware that this is a project that just, kind of kept getting pushed back. We met with her maybe, after she got here, and she was evaluating and assessing all the projects within various different departments. She got, again, after she got herself settled, then she got pulled in other directions. I will be mentioning in my next short briefing another big project that we are all working on, but it is definitely on Linda and I's radar to continue to shepherd that along and be the squeaky wheel to say, our project, within Amber's Director Shaw's workload. So, and as we set those priorities, citywide. So, and then finding out, she is very skilled on a positive note. She has a great deal of experience working with multiple contractors and managing multiple projects. And that's really, now that she's gotten herself settled, okay, she can then set those priorities. And then I have all the faith and confidence that, within the next 12 months, we'll be able to, if not, have a firm plan and a timeline on that. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question.
The community center has only been up and running for a month or two, but open house is coming in January. I was wondering if you've noticed any synergy, people moving back and forth, or things that we plan here that we could hold at the community center, and if you have plans at the open house to incorporate the two.
Okay, great question. I think the first question had to do with synergy between the two buildings and being able to leverage, the amenities and the assets of both facilities to, complement events. I know that the foundation is actually for Delicious Destinations going to be using the kitchen. So we're going to be able to use, and we meet now monthly with Director Cindy Chen. Am I saying her last name? We just call her Cindy. Where I'm like, I don't know that I've used her last name. To make sure that we are indeed and back to open house, because that's our first collaborative event with the foundation. And so we met with Cindy in relation to that and how we can ensure, do we need to be using the community center? Well, that was in January. Then we moved on to Delicious, which will be in March. And so they have submitted their special event permit to the city manager's office, who manages that big, larger special event permit when our partners are needing to pull an alcohol permit and things like that. So we're pleased that, we're going to be opening up, kind of the interior courtyard and walkway space for that event, and continuing to think, we don't want to completely move the event too far over to the west, and take away from a library event, but absolutely. Yeah. And then I didn't want to share that rentals, programming and rentals are the core use of that facility, of any community center. Okay. And programming, which is internal programming that, city staff manage and plan and implement, that accounts for about 60% of the usage within the building. Okay. 40% is outside rentals and outside usage. Okay. So the rentals are picking up, and one exciting one, just two actually for this week alone, community groups and user groups. I know there is a huge list of discussions and inquiries to our rental consultant, who happens to be Victoria Marshall, our rec supervisor. And so there's a lot in the pipeline, but we have secured two groups for this week. For example, the first one is the second speaker series, if you will, or community presentation by Partnership for Awareness. So the second one, they used us last month. They used the facility. They enjoyed it so much. They believed it's an amazing fit for the size group, the tech, the AV equipment, the location, all those things. So they have their second event here this week. I can't recall if it's a Tuesday or Wednesday. Kristen, do you remember? Does anybody remember? Sorry, I do not recall, but it's sometime this week. Partnership for Awareness. And the second one that I was so pleased to see, which and I will clarify that Partnership for Awareness is a local nonprofit. They fit into Group A. You guys remember, our rental fees are broken down into three groups: Group A, B, and C. Group A being the community nonprofit groups, right? Group B is any other community organization within San Marino, or a San Marino resident who is representing a community group or a business. Okay. And then Group C is businesses and organizations outside of San Marino. So the second one happens to be the, I don't know if I'm gonna get this right, the Pasadena Showcase Foundation. Anyway, the Pasadena Showcase planning arm, and they have rented the facility for an entire day on, might be Thursday. They've rented 2 rooms within the main multi-purpose space, or the auditorium space, for a kind of designer workshop in preparation and planning for next year's showcase. And that was because one of their board members lives in San Marino. And so they now are bringing in a very highly visible group of folks out of the city of Pasadena to come, and they will be in our community center this week for an entire day. So really excited about that particular rental use. And did I answer the majority of your questions? They were multi-layered there. Is that okay? Okay. Well, moving on to the kind of the final items. Again, page 9, middle of your page. I felt this was important to include in the packet. It is a city council and city manager's office update. I would like all of the trustees to be aware of some of the major initiatives that are going on outside of library operations. And this one happens to be the Stoneman Property Priority Initiative update. Many of you have heard about this project for many, many, many years, or it's been identified as, something that what's the city going to do with this property? Okay. So I'm happy to share that the city administrative staff led by the city manager and some key department heads, which I happen to be on that team because it is a recreation headquarters. It's for the last several years, 15 plus years, it's been used, that property predominantly as the recreation headquarters for programming and staff. The residents have to decide how they want to utilize that property going forward. What is the will of the residents? And so this team of administrative staff have begun to lay the groundwork for a presentation to council that will happen after the first of the year related to this initiative. We've been given the charge to research viable options for adaptive reuse as a way to optimize the utilization of the property while also preserving its historical and cultural value. That's going to be the essence of the report. Staff findings will be summarized and presented as viable options for councils and as well as ultimately the community's consideration. A community engagement survey will also be conducted, hopefully in February. So some of the options right now are, keep it solely a recreation amenity, right? Because that's been the use, and is it the will of the residents that it should remain a recreation amenity exclusively? You have heard also about the state's housing requirements, affordable housing. And so that's on the radar as an option to be brought forward to council and then ultimately to the residents. And then there is discussion, as not set in stone, but there's even been discussion around, does the city sell the property? We have a huge backlog of deferred maintenance of all of the city's facilities. So that would be something else that might be considered to be able to address a long-term funding plan for all of this deferred maintenance at City Hall, at Lacey Park, here at the library as the library ages. So you'll learn more about this in the upcoming months. Okay. The next, we always like to provide you a more detailed mark your calendar, which has to do with the next 3 months of programming and activities going on, December and January. Then we have our operational staff briefings related to programming and hopefully you have been able to read through all of these. Moving on to then through page 11 and 12, programming updates. That's it. That's what has happened that's looking back, what has happened in the last 30 days, basically. As we come back and we share with you, here's how, we were successful. Here's how many people we served. Here's the impact we've had, on the community. The final comment for me as it relates to this report is a couple noteworthy things on page 13 under the marketing. This happens. Yeah, we're going to pause 1 second. So again, midway down, page 13, marketing communications, just a correction under the community services guide. We have finished a beautiful edition of our winter guide. We are so excited for this to hit the street. We were told that our designer, hopefully it was a holiday week last week, but that we would be able to go live with our digital version on Wednesday. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but it is our goal and his goal, their goal, to have it ready to go and live on the website by mid to end of late week. And then it'll be in households, if not the end of this week, next week. So depending on how fast the mail service works. And then moving on to the final comment I have for my report. Page 14, midway down, there is a new section to our director and manager's report. It's called Media Mentions. So anytime, and I've added this to our Recreation Commission packet as well. So anytime the divisions appear in the news, we're going to share that with you in case you missed it. So this one was a article that, and we're going to get these headings right, and I'm going to defer to analyst Shiganaga. Where did this appear? Was this the San Marino Tribune? So we are going to bring you media mentions from 3 different outlets. One being the San Marino Tribune, the second being the San Marino Weekly, which is a new publication, if you're unaware. So Mr. Mitch Lehman has partnered. He is no longer with the Tribune. He has partnered with a publication organization that covers San Gabriel Valley type news with a focus on, and there's this area focus on San Marino, and that is his beat, if you will. And so we will be sure to mention, and we did this in our previous commission meeting earlier this month. So it'll be those 2 outlets that I mentioned, printed versus digital, as well as there is a Mountain View news. Sorry, am I saying that? Mountain Views printed newspaper. It's weekly. We get it dropped off here and we offer it, for readership here at the library. And that covers all of the San Gabriel Valley cities. And San Marino, we had like a third of a page in the publication last week. Because they pull from all of the information that we push out from the city manager's weekly update. And then we feed everything that has to do with the library and recreation. So those 3 publications will be featured anytime we appear, the library appears, and it'll be detailed to say where it came from. And we will include a hyperlink. So in your packet, you can just kind of go to that through, your because you guys do receive this via email and then you get a hard copy. So that concludes my report.
Sorry, there's also, and I don't know if this counts as media mentions, but all the schools newsletters that goes out to, the students.
Are
and
they
families.
digital or are they printed?
They are all digital. And they all have a section for the Crowell Library and the programs.
Oh,
and it's
nice.
targeted for, the youth programming for the elementaries.
Yes.
And
Okay.
the
Yes, I
teens for the
did
high
know
school.
that.
Yes,
We
every
can
week.
see if it makes sense if the links work, if it makes sense to include it in here. It is targeted to the families.
It is
right?
targeted to the
It's-
families. And even I
not
think the
math.
foundation has a section for like when the bookmark contest goes live.
Yeah. I
And so-
think, when we think of media, we think of mass media.
Yeah.
Not targeted to schools, and the families. And then it becomes kind of redundant, right? Because we're pushing out that same information to our media, and we're trusting that our school district partner is also pushing that same information. I just want to make sure we're not being redundant.
No,
Yeah.
and I think it's great, especially for the high school students, because they have to sign up to receive the newsletter.
Yep.
So these are not the kids who's gonna take the
Right.
flyer and read through, but they have three, targeted things.
Yeah. No, I think it's worth mentioning that we get that visibility,
Mhm.
and those impressions from within the school district's marketing and promotion to their audience, which
Mhm.
is San Marino families and yeah. So that completes my report. Linda, do you have any thing to add to this particular report that I might have missed?
No, thank you.
Any
Okay.
follow-up?
Then I'm obliged to open up this for public comments. No one has still walked in. So did we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
No, we do not.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board then for any other discussion, any other comments or questions on the report we just heard? None? All right then. Do we now there's a recommendation to accept and file the director and library manager report. We don't necessarily
need.
need that.
No
Okay,
need.
all right. Then we'll keep moving on. The eighth item on the agenda is the California State Library Report. Can we please have a presentation from Library Manager Vera?
Thank you. Just for a little bit of background, the California State Library requests that we submit to them annually various metrics of service. So we do that. We compile it. It's generally we submit it in the first week of November, and this gives us an opportunity to see how we're doing year over year. Just so that you are aware, the state library only makes the entire report, meaning the submissions from all libraries in the state of California. It's only available like 2 years later. So the data that I submitted now, it's kind of like telling the whispering tree. I don't know how this year's data compares to other libraries this year, just so you know. But yeah, you have the report attached. I just wanted to highlight a few things. One, library visits have remained relatively stable from the previous reporting year, which is great. The number of reference questions answered has decreased a bit. We think that there's a number of reasons for this, including everyone thinks they're a librarian now. But also we've shifted where the reference desk is located to make it more central. But I think some people in the beginning may have walked past, and we did have some staffing issues in the beginning of the fiscal year. Yeah, so reference questions. The collection use did decrease. However, we went through a major upgrade of our ILS. So it was significant. I think that we had not updated in something like 7 years. We were the only library living on a server for all the other libraries that subscribe to our current ILS were humming along, and we did this huge jump. And we feel that there may have been significant data loss in the same way that if you don't update your operating system, year over year over year, and then could you imagine 7 years later, you go to open a document. So we saw when we reran reports from prior to that upgrade, there was a significant difference in the data. That was also the event that knocked our self-serve checkout machine offline. So we feel that we'll be able to recover from that. The other thing, though, that I think is interesting, and it's reflected here, is that I think as people returned back to the world, everything opened up. We were able to do things and be social with each other. People weren't necessarily coming in to check out books. They did, however, come in to attend our programs. And this is part of the reason why I feel that we saw a shift in library use. our program numbers were up across the board. So children's program participation increased 105%. Adult program participation increased 127%. Youth services programming, which was previously not available, we offered a number of programs and we saw 221 teens. So now we have a benchmark to go on as we continue to provide programming for teens. And then this year also saw the advisory group established. So we had 49 teens who volunteered 292 hours. And that's not even for the complete reporting period, because that program started in January, which is halfway through the fiscal year, which is how we report. So that is essentially the report. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board?
I think then you really answered it, but to be sure, the under circulation and late fines, we're still reporting it because that's back to 22. We've now eliminated late fines.
We have not eliminated late fines. That's something that, that's a process that we would have to go through, and that would be approved by council. So we do still have late fines. We did eliminate the DVD fees. So.
Ooh, good to know. Anything else? We'll open up this for public comment. Does anyone here wish to speak at this time? Please state your name and address for the record. If so, still no one's walked in. Did we have any public comment requests submitted electronically?
We do not.
We did not. At this time, I'll bring the item back to the board for discussion. Do we have any comments or questions from the board? Yes, I do. I just had a comment in reading through this about the questions answered by the reference desk, decreasing by the number that it did. And it was like, oh, staffing instabilities. Not that I'm a numbers guy, but I did the math and it was 369 less, which comes out to 30 a month, which is one a day. So this is negligible. So I wouldn't be worried about that at all. So that's my only comment. Any other comments or questions?
I do just a quick one. Is there a targeted number to increase the physical collection like you do? Because I know that sometimes it's based on the population of the city. Is that a targeted number? Like we need to get 2,500 more books this year, or it just goes like as needed?
It goes as needed, and it's based on current use. So one of the things that I have observed is that the entire collection could use a refresh. So, and again, because it's based on the way the community is using our resources, there may be some changes. So we may, I said we may, it's actually we did. We're starting to take a different approach to the way we order items. So we're going to order more copies of things that people want. In a nutshell, right? So like a bookstore, you go in and there's 5 copies on the shelf and it's always available for you to grab. And, that doesn't mean that we'll increase the collection size, because, we only have so many shelves out there and those aren't going to grow. We have what we have, so.
Okay. One other comment I wanted to make on this report was I was surprised and pleased to find out that we have a seed library. And do you want to explain what that is?
It's kind of like take a penny, leave a penny at 7-Eleven. You can drop off seeds and you can take seeds. It's a little house. It's absolutely charming. And it's sitting on what was the adult reference desk. This was a Girl Scout project and it is absolutely charming. So if you have not had a chance, do go take a look. The seeds are available in little packets. Okay. There were packs. I should actually double check and make sure we still have some available for you to take a little pinch and put some and take them with you.
Oh, good. I thought it was like a repository for, when
you have to check them out and bring them back.
I was thinking it was more like if some terrible thing happens, we still have seeds, so we can still grow food. But it's much more benign than that.
Grow,
Okay.
grow.
Not so apocalyptic. I'm thrilled to hear that. Okay, any questions or comments? No? All right. Do we have a motion to approve? Or may I have a motion regarding this report?
Yeah, let me read the motion.
Page 19.
I move to receive and file the fiscal year 2022-2023 California State Library Report and recommend it for ratification by the City Council.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Chen. Trustee Derry. Trustee Osaguela.
Yes.
Vice Chair Sadoon.
Yes.
And Chair Domeyer.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Do we have any written communication or public writings for distribution? No? Okay, sorry, I didn't see it. All right, great. Then that's it. This meeting is adjourned at 8:57 until our next meeting next year, January 22nd at 8 a.m. here in the Barth Room. Thank you, everyone.